All right, it's 11 o'clock, so we're going to go ahead and get started. So, welcome back to another week of the College Prep Toolkit series that we've been putting on. We're almost to the end. I'll have my presentation today, and then we have one more next Friday, and then our summer series will be over, but definitely look out for, more opportunities to connect with us virtually as we go forward into the school year. So, without further ado, let's get started. So this week is all about the core of applying to college. So how to apply yourself. Applying to college is super easy. It's nothing to be afraid of. A lot of times applications are just gathering some basic information, all stuff you know. You know yourself best. So, it's kind of like a super easy quiz to take about yourself. On top of that, you have some documents that you have to upload as a part of it, but truly, it's not a hard process. And, it's a process that you're doing to invest in yourself. So today we're going to go over a few different things. We're going to go over the different types of applications that are out there. We're going to talk about relevant deadlines. So, if a school has a deadline, if they don't, what that means. We're going to talk about selectivity as well, transcripts and what colleges are looking for on those transcripts, test scores. That's a hot topic lately, given the pandemic and not being able to sit and test. Some other application pieces, and then I'm going to walk you through Ursuline's application. The one for the 2021 school year and the 21-22 school year are currently both live on our website. So if you're a current senior looking to apply for this August, or if you are a rising senior looking to apply for next fall, both are available to you. So let's go ahead and start with the different types of applications that are out there. So every college should have some sort of individual online application. This application, is specific to the school. So if you fill out this application, it will only go to the school in which you are applying to. There's also other applications that can go to multiple schools, like the Common application. It's commonly referred to as the Common App. So when you hear that term, that is what people are referring to. You can go to commonapp.org to fill out the application. This application for the 21-22 school year will not open until August 1st. So you have about a week until it opens, which is super exciting for our rising seniors who are super anxious to get their college applications in while it's still summer vacation. The Common App has over 700 colleges that are affiliated with it. So basically what this means is that you fill out one application and you can send it to multiple different schools. So you fill out all of your basic information, you upload your essay, your transcripts can be uploaded by your counselor. Any other supporting documents that are needed can be uploaded to the Common App, and then they send it out in one nice, neat little package to the schools in which you're applying to. Some other things you might see on the Common App is every school that you apply to is going to have a set of questions that are specific to the school. And generally not too many extra questions. The point of the Common App is to, have one central location in which you're able to send these documents and your general information out to. So when we walk through the Ursuline application, you'll kind of see what some of those general questions look like. When using the Common App, definitely make sure the schools that you want to apply to are on it. On the website, there's a quick, easy search option. If there's only one school that you're applying to that's on the Common App and you have to fill out the individual applications for all the other schools, don't bother with the Common App, just use the individual online applications. But if, two or more of your schools are both on the Common App, feel free to use it. It's super easy and it's a little bit more time consuming than one individual online application, but it saves you time if you're applying to multiple schools. There's also the coalition application, and that coalition is a group of schools that are all about college access and those types of things. You can learn more about it on their website. They have a lot less member institutions than the Common App does, but there's still some on there. The ones in Ohio are listed on the screen. So if you're looking to apply to any of those institutions, that is another form of an application that you can utilize. There's also specialty applications as well, and this kind of falls into, we see more of our transfer student population utilizing the specialty ones. A very popular one is nursing CAS, and that is for students who are interested in going into a nursing program at a specific school. Sometimes schools will use this application, but not always, so definitely check the website, call a counselor, email a counselor to just find out. All right, moving forward. So there are sometimes relevant deadlines when it comes to applying. All schools are on their own timeline, so to speak. Not all schools want to have deadlines. Some schools do. It's really up to the school. So definitely make sure you're doing your research now to find out if you need to have the application in by a certain time. So the different types of admission, deadline, decision periods, all that kind of stuff are listed below. So rolling admission is application reviews are ongoing. So you submit your application is read, and then the counselor gets that information back to you as soon as all the boxes are checked and all the letters are sent and all of that kind of stuff. So basically what that means is if you send an application in, you'll likely hear back in about 2 to 3 weeks generally if you've gotten in or not. Ursuline is on a rolling admission system. So if you send me your application, I will read it, I will pass it along to my second reader, and the second reader will be like, yep, it's good to go. It goes to our processing center, and then our processing center, does what they need to do in the back end, and then they print the acceptance letter, put together the acceptance packet, and then they mail it out to you. So these are really quick turnarounds typically. There's one caveat to it. Sometimes they'll have priority deadlines. So, if you get your application in by a certain date, like you will have a decision by another date. So there are those, but they're not hard deadlines. It's not something you absolutely have to have your application in by. Oftentimes with rolling admission, you can apply a few weeks before classes even start. Be admitted, get your class schedule and start within 2 to 3 weeks. So they definitely make it so it's a little bit more flexible. There's also the regular decision. So applicants are notified after a specific date. So typically there is an application window. So it might be from August 1st to January 30th. And then they let students know on March 1st whether they've gotten in or not. And it's one mass, like the school sends out all the decisions right then and there. So in those cases, you definitely do need to make sure you have your application in by a certain date, because oftentimes they will not accept them after that date. So like I said, do your research. If you have a school that is on those deadlines, those are hard deadlines. So do make sure your application, your transcripts, your essay, your test scores, your letters of recommendation, any supporting documents that you need are all to the school. Early action is another form of deadline. So the application is reviewed with a smaller pool, meaning if you submit your application by X date, only those people that submitted within that window are going to be reviewed. So they'll make their decisions and then they'll let you know before everyone else would find out. There's also early decision, which is pretty common. Applications are still reviewed with that smaller pool. So say you have to submit your application by October 1st and you'll find out by November 1st. But if you do get in, you have to attend the school. So one of the schools that does do this is Miami University. So, you submit your application and they tell you yes or no, or they can waitlist you as well. And if, it's a yes, then you're going to Miami. In certain cases you are able to get out of it, but typically if you choose to do early decision, they're making sure that seat is reserved for you and it won't go to anybody else. So getting into selectivity, this basically means what are your odds of getting into a school? So, every school does it a little bit differently. Some are open admission. So all you need is your high school diploma and basically you prove that you graduated from high school and you're able to start classes. There is typically some sort of application process to it, just so they can collect your general information. They know where to send things to, what your email is, and that kind of stuff. And then there's selective admission. Selective admission involves a minimum GPA, certain test scores, and then a holistic review might be utilized. So, they might look deeper into, yes, you have this GPA, yes, you have these test scores, okay, you're in. But typically students that meet that basic criteria will be admitted. There's also competitive admission. So space is limited and review is usually holistic. So this is, kind of where you see your more like, okay, you have this set of test scores, you have this GPA, you did these clubs, this is what your essay is about. Maybe there's an interview involved as well. So there's more pieces to it. More qualified students do get turned away for this reason because there's only so many seats that can be filled. So, you need to be like on top, you need to be your best self in order to, have the best chance of getting into the school. So some majors can also be more competitive as well. So, sometimes, you might apply to a school and you're admitted to the school, but you have to later apply to the major. You might have to take all your prerequisites and then be able to, apply to whatever program it is that you're interested in. And then you're able to then possibly get into that major, but you do sometimes get turned away based on, what work you've done. And in that case, that's when you see a lot of students transferring to other schools because, maybe they were turned away from the one that they've been at, but maybe they can get into another program at another institution. All right, so transcripts. High school transcripts are so important when it comes to the application. This is what we're looking at most. We want to know what kind of work you've done. Did you take certain classes? Why did you take these classes and all of that? It truly does paint a picture of what type of student you were in high school, more than you even realize. So generally what we're looking for first is your college prep curriculum. So did you take 4 years of English? Did you do 3 or 4 years of social sciences or your history courses? This can be, your general history classes that you have to take as a part of the curriculum, but this is also if you can take psychology as an elective, or, maybe you took economics or something to that extent. We're looking for that too. Math you need 4 years of as well, or you can take 3 years as long as you have algebra 2. It really depends on your high school though. Some high schools only require 3 years, some require 4. So it really depends on your school. But we're definitely looking to see, what kind of math classes did you take? Did you take algebra, geometry, algebra 2? Did you go into trigonometry? Did you take statistics? We're looking at all of that kind of stuff, especially when it comes to your major. If you picked a major that's very math heavy, but you didn't go very high up in math, maybe you only did take 3 years, you didn't take it your senior year. So we're looking for that kind of stuff. Sciences, 3 years, 2 with a lab. So, if you took biology and chemistry and those had a lab, and then you took maybe like an environmental science class that didn't have a lab, that's perfectly acceptable. Foreign language, we're looking for 2 years of the same language. So, when you take your language classes, a lot of times students will just take the intro classes of 2 different languages, when truly we do need those 2 years of the same language. You committed to this language and you're learning it, because a lot of times the curriculum of that second year of the language is harder than the first, because the first year is a lot of intro, a lot of your basic words, your basic grammar, stuff like that. So we want to see that you're able to apply yourself and do that second year. We're also looking for fine arts. So this can be, humanities classes. This can be, if you took ceramics, if you took painting, intro to art, whatever it may be. We're looking for something to that extent. This also includes music as well. So if you're in your school orchestra, we're looking for that. Or if you were in the band, choir, just looking for those. Generally, this list is also what the Ohio criteria is in order to graduate. So, give or take a year on something. But, check with your guidance counselor, see what the college prep curriculum is at your school, because if you want to go to college, we're looking for those classes. We're also looking at the strength of your schedule. So did you take any honors classes? Did you take AP classes or CCP even? We're looking to see if you challenged yourself during high school, or if you were able to. Some schools don't offer these classes, and we're aware of that. So we also do look at what school you went to when it comes to the transcripts. So some schools only offer 2 AP classes, and you might have taken both of them, and that's the strongest curriculum you could take at your school. Some schools offer 30 AP classes. There's no way you could take every single one of them. So we're looking for that kind of stuff, but do know that it also matters on what school you go to. So we look at everything. We're also looking at your senior year course selection. Did you still try to challenge yourself your senior year? Or, did you take 3 study halls because you had time to take 3 study halls? We want to see that you're still pushing towards your education, because, after senior year, you have another 4 years, if not more, depending on, if you go for your master's or your doctorate. So we want to see that you didn't, kind of burn out at the end. We want to see that you're still dedicated to your education. And then we're also just kind of interested to see what fun classes you took. Did you take 3 years of photography? Did you take, a ton of art courses? Did you take some elective history? We're looking for that to see, what else is the student interested in? What else could we potentially offer the student that would be helpful to, pique their interests? So test scores in this pandemic, no, not always. Schools are definitely getting into, getting rid of that requirement. A lot of schools, the hot word right now is test optional. So many schools are going test optional because of the uncertainty of the ACT and the SAT. So basically what test optional means is it gives students the choice to submit their scores. So when we walk through the application, you're going to see there is a question on there that says, are you going to be applying test optional? So when it comes to that, sometimes there is a minimum GPA that's required in order to, opt out of test scores. All will be very apparent on the school's website. And then sometimes additional materials required. Sometimes you have to submit, an extra essay or something to that extent, just to make sure that, your writing is good, your grades are reflective of, you did a good job, basically. We know students have test anxiety. We know that these standardized tests are not always the way to really show what your students are or what kind of student you were. So Ursuline, we have recently gone test optional. So that is something that you will see on our website. So I definitely encourage you to check out those websites, because definitely this summer, a lot of that has shifted. So when it comes to ACT and SAT testing, like I said, it's test optional. So you could still take the tests, you can still submit the tests. It's completely up to you. So if you think your scores, kind of show more so your ability. So if you got a really high test score and you think that's going to, really boost our view of what kind of student you are, absolutely, submit them. If you're a really good student that gets test anxiety and your test scores are lower than you would have wanted them to be, you can choose to never show them to us. Completely up to you. And then also when it comes to ACT and SAT testing, they are different tests. So ACT covers more content, more diverse content, whereas the SAT focuses on your evidence-based reading and writing, and then math. So definitely take the test that's going to, go towards your strengths. If you're not good with scientific reasoning, the ACT might not be the better test for you. The SAT might. And then when it comes to testing, we always super score. The Ursuline does. Many schools do as well. Something to ask a counselor. So basically what super scoring is you take, if you take the ACT twice, you can combine your highest score. So if you got a 24 in English and a 23 in math the first time, and the second time you took it, your English score went down, but your math score went up, we'll take the higher of the two. So some other application pieces that might be required of you typically are are things like recommendation letters. So, ask someone, a teacher, a counselor, a coach, a supervisor who can write about your strengths. So someone that knows you, someone that knows what kind of, student you are, if you're a hard worker, all of those kinds of things will go into those letters. The essay is probably the most important, in my opinion. This is my favorite part of reading applications. I love reading students' essays. I want to know about you. I want to know, what your interests are, what was the best moment in your life, maybe the worst moment in your life. You truly can write about whatever you would like to write about. So creativity is encouraged. Keep the content focused. Make sure you're talking about, one thing and not multiple things. Really try to narrow down that topic. And then it should be flawless. Please, please, please have someone proofread your essay, because we are looking for grammar. We are looking for, you being able to, write a proper sentence. We're looking for, periods at the end of sentences, question marks where they should be, capital letters. All of those things are definitely needed when it comes to writing that essay. Sometimes a resume is required, but usually you'll see it on the application as an extracurriculars or activity list, which you'll find on Ursuline's application when I pull it up. And then interviews. Interviews are typically your highly selective competitive institutions that'll do them. So they're typically on campus, or if there's a alumni that's local to you that might offer to do it. So practice your elevator pitch. That is your tell me about yourself question. How can you sum yourself up in 30 seconds? Basically what an elevator pitch is, the whole thing got started by, you walk into an elevator and the CEO of Google is in there. How are you going to try to land yourself a job at Google, or something to that extent? So your elevator pitch is just talk about yourself. Make yourself seem as good as you are. So like I said, we're going to take a look at our online application, and I do already have it pulled up. We're going to go here. All right, so this is Ursuline's application. So when you go to ursuline.edu and you select apply now, this is the screen that gets pulled up. Now you won't see this top part. So because I work for Ursuline, I'm in a test environment basically. So what that means is that I'm able to see the application as if I'm applying, but I don't actually apply. So as you can see, I've started quite a few applications during my time here, but this is the one that I started this morning. This is our 21-22 application. So when you apply, you'll hit start new application at the bottom, and it'll bring up a screen for you to select undergraduate application, and then first year if you're going to be a first year student, or a transfer student if you're transferring. So I'll go ahead and open my application, and this is what pops up. So over here, there's a menu of all the different things that we ask for. So when you're going through, you'll fill in your personal background. Now, because like I said, I'm in a test environment, I work for Ursuline, if auto fills in some information, I just use Ursuline's address while I'm in this environment. So this is not my actual address or my actual information, but that is my, email and office number. So this is where you would check all the information. Tell us about yourself, tell us, your phone number, your email address, where we can mail that acceptance packet to, all that good stuff. And then at the bottom of everything, you select continue. So now what pops up is your enrollment information. So this is where we get to know what kind of student you are. So if you're a first year student that did not take any CCP classes, you would select this first one. If you are a first year student that did take CCP classes, you will select the second one. Now, when I was talking about test optional, I did say that there's a question on the application, and this is that question. So Ursuline College test optional policy gives you a choice on whether or not to use your standardized tests in the review of your application. Please indicate below whether you wish to apply with or without We will consider all student applications regardless of test scores for the full range of merit scholarships. So basically what this means is if you submit them or you don't, we will still look at the same scholarships. It's not going to hurt you in any way. But we do have that scholarship grid on our website. So if you do see that your test score might drag you into a different category because it's a little bit higher, then definitely submit. And you can choose to do this at individual schools. So, you know, if our scholarship grid with your test score is going to give you a higher scholarship, you think, submit it. If it's not going to at another institution, don't submit it. So you can really kind of tailor which way you go with this. But some schools do require you to send in that test score and you don't get the option. So do be aware of that as well. So for me, I'm going to say don't use them. I want you to see my GPA and not think about that test score. So you would select your intended major. We're going to say, let's do fashion merchandising down here. And then I'm intending to start in fall of 2021. So here's where you go and say if you're going to be a full-time or a part-time student. Full-time means you're going to be taking 12 to 18 credit hours, and basically that boils down to 4 to 6 classes in a semester. On average, we see students take about 15, so that's roughly 5 classes. Some classes are worth more credits, some are worth less, so it just kind of depends on your schedule. Part-time student is if you're going to take anything less than 12 credit hours. So if you only want to take, you know, maybe 2 classes a semester, then you would be part-time. There is differences between full-time and part-time students. Generally, when you're a part-time student, you are not able to live on campus or things like that, whereas full-time students are. So there's little things like that that you definitely need to pay attention to. So for me, I'll be a full-time student. Have you earned a GED diploma? So your GED is when you drop out of high school for whatever reason you need to, and then you go back and still earn that diploma later in life. So if you are graduating high school, you know, on time, you didn't drop out, anything like that, you would select no. If, you know, you dropped out and then you went back and finished, then you would select yes. And then oftentimes schools have dual admission programs between them and the local community college. So if you're looking to do your first 2 years at a community college and then directly transfer to the school with the partnership, then this is where you would hit yes. Oftentimes with those dual admission programs, you're able to take one of your classes at the institution you'd like to transfer to. So for me, I'm going to select no. I'm going to go to Ursuline for all 4 of my years. And then you go to your high school information, you know, tell us who your counselor is because we'll email them about getting your transcript or letting them know that you applied so they can ask you if you would like to send your transcript to a school. And then go to your academic history. So have you previously applied to Ursuline College? So if you have, select yes. If you haven't, select no. If you've ever been dismissed, suspended, or placed on probation, we do need to know this information. So if you're a transfer student especially and you were dismissed from your institution, we do need to know that information. So then you go down and there's some more questions about, you know, are you going to live on campus? If you are, you select resident. If you're going to commute, you select commuter. And then you go through and just start going through all these questions. I'm not going to read every single one because we would be here for a while, but you guys can see on here. And you can just go through and select yes, no, and whatever it may be. At the bottom here is where you submit your personal statement, and this is your essay. So oftentimes colleges will refer to it as a personal statement. Sometimes they'll refer to it as the essay. It really just truly depends on the school. So oftentimes you get some sort of open-ended, you know, question, a topic of your choice. Talk about anything. Sometimes the schools will do, you know, an essay topic that's about something related to the school. So our next 2 are like that. So, you know, these words of the foundress, which is St. Angela Merici, carry great meaning at Ursuline. Do something, get moving, be confident, risk new things, stick with it, then be ready for big surprises. So describe a time you risked a new thing, the big surprises experienced along the way, and how it changed you. And then another one is about, using your voice. So how would you use your voice after graduating from Ursuline? So if you have a really good topic that you already, really want to write about and you're passionate about, go for it. If not, we give you some kind of like essay starters so you're able to brainstorm. And then you don't have to submit your essay in the moment. You can definitely see these and then work on your essay and upload it at a later time. So if we go through here, so here's where you go to your school history. So like I said, because I'm already in the system, it already knows all the places I went. So my high school's in here and both of my colleges are in here. So, when you're adding an institution, we make it really easy. You select add and then you type in your institution. So I'll type in my high school and then it pops up right here. You're able to click it and add it. I won't save it for the fact that I've already have it saved in here. But you can start typing partial and it'll pull up. Just make sure you're selecting the right school. Some states all have South High School, so just make sure you're selecting the one that's in your city. So you add in all your school history, your dates attended and all that good stuff. You select continue. You can add your employer in there. So if you have a part-time job, you work at the grocery store, the ice cream shop, you babysit, whatever it is, let us know what type of employment you have. Because this shows, it's another resume kind of type builder. It shows that you're dedicating your time to something outside of school. Then they go into activities and distinctions. So like I said, all my activities are already in here. And these are from high school and college. So, add your activities, this becomes your resume. And you're able to say if you had any leadership positions within those roles or anything to that extent. So super easy, add activity, you type it in. If you had some sort of role or leadership position or anything like that, the dates that you participated, and if you want to give us any sort of description about that club activity, whatever it may be. And then if you'd like to add a recommendation letter, we don't require recommendation letters at Ursuline, but some schools do. So it's definitely good to at least have one or two people in your mind of people you can ask. Maybe it's your favorite teacher, maybe you're really close with your counselor, maybe you're an athlete and you're super close with your coach or your athletic trainer, or whoever it may be. This is where you can add them. So if you add them, all we ask is for their information, and then we send a little form to them and they're able to, fill out the form, upload a document, which is their letter or anything to that extent. So it notifies them. So you've added your recommender and now you're at your signature. So basically what this is saying is that, I certify to the best of my knowledge that the information is true. I understand that any misrepresentation of facts on this application could be cause for the following. So basically you're just acknowledging that everything I put on here is 100% true and I'm not trying to dupe the system. Type in your name, hit confirm, and then this gives you the opportunity to review any questions that you may miss. So I didn't select things on that enrollment information. Like I said, had I gone through all those individually, we would have been here a while. So I, skipped all that. So it's telling me like, hey, go back and do this. We need this. And hey, you didn't sign to say, hey, this is all 100% true. So once you fill out everything and you submit everything, you'll be able to save and send. Since I did not, save for later. And then you're able to access this application at a later date. When you do start a new application, you're going to have to create an account with Ursuline. So your name, your email, and a password. That way you can log back into your application and do it at your leisure. Applications generally do not take that long of a time to fill out. But sometimes we realize like you may start something and 5 minutes in, you have to go eat dinner, you have to go to practice, you have to do something that you thought you would have more time in order to do this. So we recognize that and we want you to be able to take your time if it's needed. So go ahead and jump back to our PowerPoint here. So that's it from me about the application process. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat right now. But we encourage you to stay connected. You've been along on this, summer series journey with us, since we began back in June. So, you've stayed connected this long. We want you to stay connected as these presentations wrap up. So that's my information. My name is Mackenzie, Assistant Director, Coordinator of Campus Visits, Athletics Liaison. So if you have any questions that, pertain to the campus visit process or being an athlete, you can absolutely reach out to me. Or anything in general about admission, you can reach out to me as well. My contact information is there, my email, and then you can call or text my cell number, whatever you're most comfortable with. I don't mind receiving texts from students at all, because I know that is so much more of a preferred, source of, contact now. And then also follow us on social media. Social media is such an important part to the, college process, because on social media, you get to see a lot of the things that, aren't, in your face on the website. You might have to, dig for it a little bit. Social media brings those to light. So, statistics about living in the residence halls, or, we do a podcast that we post about. We've been doing virtual tours through Instagram Live. So you're able to see, those kinds of parts of Ursuline. And that's true of most colleges. So definitely check out their social media handles, their hashtags, all that kind of stuff, to get a really good view into who they are. So like I said, I will hang out here for a little bit until, for a few minutes, to see if you guys have any questions. Drop your questions in the chat and I'll be able to answer them. But if not, I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. Stay safe and have fun.